Hey guys, you're most welcome to this new video again with OSP Pro. In this video I'm going to be working with you guys, showing you the possible ways on how we're going to create a CRUD system using PHP and MySQL. Now I'm going to be working with you guys, showing you all the possible ways, but I'll be using a PD. I'll use MySQL and actually I'll use one as OOP. So this is it. So I'm just setting myself in, ready to have everything at the moment so that we can start up the application. So this was my previous stuff that you guys did together, if you guys remember that. We had this from the previous video where we did the database connection. If you guys remember, this was the codes. We had this, so if you guys remember from the previous video where we created the database configuration, which is this file, and then we create the table, which is this, and then also here we happen to create up something called read the details. Now here I'm going to show you the real CRUD, not just using this PHP MySQL alone, but even I'm going to import Bootstrap and something of that sort, to have Bootstrap into our MySQL and then have something nice if possible. Now to get started, I'm not taking a lot of time. We just try to get started by doing this. If you check on our system, just shortly, just like a minute. Okay, so just a minute again, guys. Yeah, set. Okay, I'm now set again. Yeah, sorry for delay. Now I'm just going to create up a new folder, CRUD. So I'm going to simply say MySQL. This is going to be complete UI CRUD. UI MySQL CRUD, I think so. UI PHP MySQL CRUD. So that's it. So I'm going to be designing even the UI for the application and have all that thing sorted out. So here, the first thing you're going to do, we can just create our DB connection. So I think I'm just going to create DB.php, sorry. I think DB.php to have our DB connection. I remember doing it here, so I don't want to take a lot of your times today. I'm just going to paste it here so that you have that sorted out. Remember, we're going to use the same database, but we may use different tables. Then the next thing I'm going to do now at the moment is to create one on us, how we may think of creating up the UI part of it, whereby it's going to be the index.php. I always like to organize my stuff in that way, whereby they're a little bit kind of different, if it's okay on your side. So we're going to be having our CRUD whereby everything's going to be just on steps. So remember, we're learning CRUD. We're going to be in position to create, get, read our details or data, all those stuffs. We're going to be looking on to select all of those conditions. We're also going to look onto updating up record and otherwise delete, which is going to be the last stage for this new video we are making today. Don't forget, guys, all these videos are for free, and I'm also going to put it on our website. And then you guys are looking for the source codes are going to be inside osppro.com/tutorial/source codes. It's where you guys are going to find all of these things happen to be in. So to cut story short, I'm not going to take a lot of time. We shall also need something called like CSS into codes, whereby inside CSS I'm going to import a library. I don't have that much time for developing it now. I'm going to import something called bootstrap.min.css. Now we can either create by our own, give the name by our own, or I can just get it and then we use it. So I think I have one here. It's just underneath. I think here, because I just changed the windows, so I don't have much stuff. I think I should get something here. Where is it? I think I have some systems. Just check inside the systems, new backup. Just get the system. I think I have that stuff around somewhere. Actually, sorry, these APIs. So I think still under there. Go to that admin login illustration CSS. I think that Bootstrap, that's what we want to use for now. Now, if you also check back on this project, I just need to go back to YouTube. I go to this, I go inside there, I just paste my code underneath that. Now go back here in our project, you should find your Bootstrap just there, and that's what you're going to be using. So down of this code, I'm going to just create one as I'm just going to create an HTML there, and I simply say maybe a PHP MySQL CRUD, if it's okay with you. And then underneath that, I'm going to just create something called a meta chassis to have that configured. Now remember, we're going to create something called create a detail. So I'm just going to create up a Bootstrap stuff like so. So remember, in Bootstrap we use classes. Is it okay? So here, the class I'm going to be giving for now is just going to be something of a sort of row. Actually, let's take container, and then it's also a row. I want it to be a row at the same time. And then underneath there, I'm just going to cram up with another div class, if it's okay with you guys. And I say just bg minus primary to become blue color. I'm after blue color, and I'm going to just simply say maybe, if possible, h2, if it's okay with us. And I simply say maybe MySQL, PHP, MySQL PHP, and then MySQL PHP, and also maybe Bootstrap CRUD system. Okay, so this should be something so workable and so simple to come up with. So underneath this, I'm just going to move this off, and then underneath there, that's what we want. So I think you can see that's it for now, and should be showing that we said bg primary. Wow, it's not showing up because I've not implemented the link for Bootstrap. So this is go to folder called CSS, and underneath CSS there's a thing called Bootstrap. So if you go back there and paste the code underneath that, it should just work as expected, whereby the background color of that given stuff should be that. You get? And then if you try to contain, this is container, I just put there test container, so there's no other big condition. So that's container, and you can go further and divide that stuff accordingly. By if it's okay with us, we can as well just come back there and just try to paste there something called row by independent row, if it's okay with us. And underneath that, we're going to be maybe position to paste our code just there. You get? So I'm just going to extend that in front a bit, and then this is going to be call and md maybe 12, just like that. Then I want that at the same thing to be that, so that it happen to look like something like that. Now remember, we also have that down there. You can also add more CSS by saying I want the color for this given stuff of ours to be maybe should I say white? Yeah, let the color of the text be white. That should be so simple, because if you try to see the text should be white. We can go back here and add stuff by saying text align center, just text center in our Bootstrap, and this will definitely push our element in the middle. Now the next thing we also have at the moment is whereby we want to create everything using sections. Now I can add in some conditions here. This is what's going to be on the top of our container, and underneath here I'm going to including one on us PHP request method to grab, actually to grab, I don't know spelling for grab, is it like that, so to grab a page. Okay, so we're going to be looking to grabbing up a page using request method. Now we need to come back down here on our page and then look onto what we need to grab. You get? So I think even if you're to grab this, all of these stuffs are going to be inside the condition that you're to grab, and then we can define our PHP code in a simple sum. So I'm not going to waste a lot of much of your times, but we'll look onto something that we don't waste a lot of time into our PHP code. Remember, we need to update view, and I need to do something called the view add and the view at the same page. So I can go back inside our container here, where you have that, I create another div if possible. Then I create a class, I remember this is a different container, but the same row. Inside the same container, this is the row, and that row has 12. This row I can also give you 12. You get? So I can simply say here maybe call MD, maybe also 12, and I just come back down here on the page and I just create that. Or you can actually go further and create something called navigation URL, a list, and then I also create something called a list, and then end of that. So here, this is going to be add maybe let's say add products. So you're just going to base on something so simple. Maybe add students. Let me just say we're creating things for students. So add students. So this is going to be simply saying maybe add students. You get? So if you check here now, if you check here now on our page, you should find something called add students and takes us to that given part of the page without us wasting a lot of time. So that's add students should take you to that part of the page. So this is what I've said lastly or before, that I want when I'm requesting, I request a PHP page here down. So I'm going to be using request method to request a page so that we get a chance to have all those stuffs in the same page. So I'll simply say if insert for me underscore request. So remember, a user is requesting a page called add students. So this is a good technique that I'm going to apply in this application, and we have everything of ours within the page called index.php, and we are going to be doing on something called a CRUD system. So we'll look onto this and see how this can work to come with what we want. And we want when this page is requested, what do you want to be shown? Or what do you want users to see? We want this to remain there as add students. At the same time, we expect also to have view students as another page. So this definitely gives us a chance to also create an else if statement, which this time around is also going to be requesting a new page called view students. So this is like another page underneath the same page. Now since I'm going to be working up with something called with PHP and MySQL at the same time, I think this should be the best option for me to do by closing PHP and closing up also another PHP code, and underneath here I can write my HTML very well to have an HTML content underneath here. So if that's okay on your side, this is what I expect for now to have in our page. We have view students, add students, and this view students underneath on the same page. We can tend to have something a little bit more nice if we can go back here and we say maybe navbar. I don't know whether navbar is applicable here. I think along with that using Bootstrap, but I think it makes sense whereby this is a navbars, and if you go on a smartphone, they tend to behave like real things. I think it makes sense if that's okay with this view and the others add. Now we can also add another thing here a little bit on our page, whereby you can create a class and say btn, maybe btn minus primary, if it is okay with us, and btn minus sx, if that's okay, to be a little bit of a small size. That's great. So we have this to add and this to view. To display and remove all those given conditions we have in our page, I can just add something called text decoration to none inside our HTML, a part of the styling of the page. So the CSS we have given there, we said display none, text decoration none. So I think there's nothing really, text decoration is not applicable as to search inside your inside our anchor or the link, but I need that provision to be inside this other stuff called the list. So inside our list, we want the text list. It's called list style to none. We don't want those styling it's giving us on our list. So I've moved that off. Definitely, this gives us a chance to work with a page there. I think you can see our URL remains that as just static. So this gives you a chance to develop this as fast as possible. Now, underneath here, on this part of the page, we're going to come up with a form. So I'm going to just create a div class underneath there. I'm also going to create a class row where we're going to get a chance to have everything inside the same page. I'm also going to come back here and I say maybe call MD maybe 4. So I'm going to be dividing it 4 times if possible. And then also inside here, okay, let me just break this in this way. We have this part of the page, so I need to divide it otherwise 4 times. So I'm going to use the first one. So this I can actually definitely make it 6. So I have another 6 left. So I can definitely move this off if that's the case in our side. And I just make this 6. So I'm going to use the first 6 here, whereby I'm going to simply say maybe H3, maybe register student, if that's the case. So register student will only be shown when you're in the student category, when you're here. But when you click there, we don't have anything. But when you click there, we have register student. And if it is that's the case for now, we can also call something called text. I think center can work better. Text center. So this pushes our text a little bit to that point if it is okay with us. And then also you can also add other few things around your page, like a break. For instance, you want to make some underlinement around there. I think it makes sense. And that underlinement is only called when that condition is given. So let me just not waste a lot of your time with a lot of decoration. I'm not doing fine art here. Let me just show you here. I'm going to use a class form, and this form is going to be from maybe form group. So I'm dealing up with form group in a Bootstrap. And then underneath here, remember, it's going to be a post method. We're going to be posting to the database. So what are those stuffs we need to come up with inside here in our form? We need to come up with a div class, and this time around, there's nothing I'm going to give inside the class. Instead, I need a label where I need someone's first name. You get? So this first name mainly stands for role is name. So if you look onto role, where is the role applicable for? Role is always good to give that given stuff the way it's going to be displayed when they call inside the MySQL database. So I'm tending to give my stuff that where the type of the name is going to be text, and this person's is going to be first name. I can also add a placeholder where I say maybe enter, maybe first name. I can also give a class whereby this time around is going to be form control, like so. So this gives us a chance that if you do so, we have that as that. Okay. If this nothing now looks so much nice, we can definitely change this a little bit. We'll leave it to that, but we tend to divide another div class here, whereby this becomes call MD maybe 3, and then that's that. So this is the very thing. Because remember that has to be equal to 12. So if I remove that, I think I have not changed the meaning of what I'm doing. So it's just going to push my stuff a little bit in the middle. So I think there it looks more nice, where I said enter first name, enter last name, and things like that. So here I can just do more of this duplication. So I'm not going to do a lot of stuff. So this is just going to be last name, whereby this just stands with this if it is okay with you, if that's what you want, last name, and then maybe this is going to be country if it is okay. This is last name, this is going to be country. So I'm changing this one with this, so this is going to be country, this case around, this is going to be, I'm saying this is going to be the phone of that given person, and this is the case this time around too, where I'm going to simply say maybe the phone, phone. Yeah. So if you find check this around now, this is what you have. Enter country, enter for last name, enter country. So our Bootstrap tends to behave in such a way. Now you can go further with more decorations if that's what you want. Let me just put my Bootstrap last button if that's okay with us, whereby this is just going to be set data if that's what we want, or add data. I don't know how you want to call it. Now I'm going to just give it btn minus maybe success for a green color, if it's okay with you. Then also here I want to know the type. The type around this time is going to be a submit button, and I also need to know the name of this button, which is going to send btn data, btn send data, or btn data, whatever name you want to give. Mine is that for now. And if you check here now, we have a button like that, and I think you can see it is responding as expected per now. So it's expecting you to enter details, come and enter details, come and enter that, come and enter that, and having entered, so click there, expect the details to go inside our MySQL database. Don't forget, we are going to be using a table, a database called YouTube DB. So YouTube DB doesn't have a table called students. So if I enter that now, I'm just going to add the number of columns that I expect to be added. So here I'm just going to add maybe student ID, like so. I also have first name, if you guys remember that. I also have last name. I also have phone, actually country this person is coming from, and I also have phone lastly. Get? So if you check back in on our code, that's what we just have for now. So I think this is going to be a version. If you want to use this technique, that's it. I remember the previous video I showed you guys this stuff using MySQL XAMPP shell, where I showed you. Now this phone number you can sort the way you want. Now in my case, I'm going to just give it this way to have this sorted out. And then I'm also going to leave the rest as it is. Then where there's an ID here, I'm going to make it to be an auto increment. So I click just there, and when I click here down, I've already sorted that off. So this is what we have. We can even add the date registered to give us a chance to know. And I'm going to store my date as integer, so I'm not going to store it as date. I'm going to store it as second and time in which they happen to register. So that should be giving us a chance to have our application sorted out that way. So this is the table we're going to be working up with, and if you check this, what we have inside our table, and that's what portrays inside here on this side around of our application. So without wasting much time, I think our coding is done. But don't forget, this is another page down here which asks us to view records, and we're requesting it in the same page. So I'm going to come back down on our page here. We look into what is repetition. We have this part of the page. This is a complete repetition on this code. So what am I going to do? I can cut it off. I can cut this part of page off, and I call it another new page to be included inside that page. So I can call the header section, because if you check from here, there's no serious PHP that I have. So I can come down up of this page like so, and I cut it off. So on cutting it off, I'm just going to go back inside here on a page, and I try to include it underneath there, where I will simply say this is the header.php. If I paste that page around there, I've just included that page there, and I have to come inside here and I require that page. So I'm going to just say I'm requiring, or require maybe once of what? I'm requiring once of the header.php. So this gives us a chance to require the page that way around, and that's it. So since this is the same thing, I can just remove that off to have that sorted up that way. So if you check here, you don't find changes made. The thing works as normal. I think you can see. But we have reduced on the number of codes we're going to be having inside here. So most of the things I've left them, or I tend to make them and uninclude files, and it's going to be setting a row presiding over this side. We also have other few things that maybe you would like to do. That's the this blah blah footer, but I think I have less than that. So although I have my stuffs here, I don't think it is a big problem. Now here, this is going to be maybe requesting one us. So I'm just trying to do this to all for you guys understand. Requesting the one us requesting add student page. So I think this is going to be working with you guys to understand how my page is working and just having everything in one page. Then also here we have this is a view students where I expect this to be a table for us. So this also forces me to create something called a row. You can even go further and call it for container if you want to deal with the containers. Container float, or just container if it's okay with you. So you can otherwise have container first, then you create a row inside a container. You cannot say row then you say container. So this gives you a chance to have your details inside here in this way. So I think I have here something called that, and then this should be MD, maybe a call MD maybe 12 if you want to take the entire container div, and then this is a table. Remember, Bootstrap gives us a chance to have this is table, and you can also have that table responsive if you want, and also maybe table hover if you want that. Then also we also have something called border 1 pixels, and then just one border, and you can also add something called a style to that border, which is called border it's called column, actually border collapse, which is going to be equivalent to collapse. Let your border be collapsing. Then we have the following table header like so, whereby here we have table row and then table head. So where you have here, this is going to be name of that given person. We need to know the country of the person talking about. We need to also know the phone number of that given individual. And then you also have a last thing which is going to be action, which action is going to be taken by the time when that given stuff is given or is to be to be displayed inside our MySQL. And that implies to not be shown here, but if I click on to view students, we should have a nice table in the same page. Now that's a very unique way how you can program and make application in this 2021 after the coronavirus, or at the time when people are fighting for that. We don't need to be of much extravagant. We have to reduce on the expenses of the codes you try to design. That's why I tend to use my request. So I request for the new page within the same page, and I design it inside there just to solve that problem, because I don't have time to waste. Very soon I may get corona, so I don't need to have a lot of headache. Now this is it. This is the page you requested. Underneath this page is where you're going to add the codes to have our students added, handled. Now this is it that I'll talk about. I've just opened up inside here. Don't forget, this is what I have. Initially, it was like so. Then I just happened to come in to have that underneath there. Now what's the name of our table and the details? The first thing I'm going to do is to handle errors in our page. Every much this is just CRUD, but it's also good for you guys to understand errors handling in the page. I may define my errors as error. Most cases, this is how I do. If you check on my previous projects, that's how I used to do it. So I tend to say errors, let be handled as an error. Let every error be taken as an error for each row or in the page. That's how I do. Then lastly, what I tend to do is to return the error. But don't forget, we're not turning for this time around. Instead, we're just echoing the error, because I'm not in PDO, I'm just in MySQL, and I don't want to bring object errors. So this is it for now, and I expect my PHP code to understand what I'm doing, because it's going to be knowing what are errors for. Then the next thing is actually variable definition or variable declarations. And this time around, the variable declarations we have we have got something called first name, which is also equal to last name, which is also equal to country, and is also equal to phone, which are all equal to nothing. So we don't have anything there for those part of the page. So this is what I'm talking about. We have this first name, which is that. We have last name, which is this. We have country, which is that. And we also have phone, which is the last stage. Now, don't forget also here, we have a button and the type is submit and the name is called send btn underscore data. This is the button which is going to be taking for us a create stuff to the database. So we need to stack off if it is a set. What do you want to do? We want to do something called post. Now remember, we are posting to the MySQL database. Now also, like I've said to you guys who are watching this video, if you find this video interesting, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and sharing my YouTube channel with your friends, because I've got for you guys a best and quick solution that has made me being quarantined for over 1 year now into PHP by solving this problem. Remember, I began first with using a request method to request for the page. Now I did stop there. I need to just now to trim all the lines and spaces inside my post, and next time what I just need to do is to extract. So you don't need to know and waste a lot of time that you're coding there. Again, you come down here, you start doing these funny things which you've been doing in 2019. This one before quarantine, that you're doing post, do this, post what, then you come in here and then you say post first name. My friend, you're going to waste a lot of time and you're going to call yourself the best program because of the lot of codes. This time around is not about the number of codes you do, it's about the solution you're making for the quick solutions for the big problems people have around you. Now look, I just trim my codes. I don't know, all this are just going to be posted. There's no file I'm taking inside the MySQL database. Instead, I'm going to be posting all of those stuffs to the MySQL database. So they're all text. I have my phone, I can make it to be tail, so that can be. But I'm not going to use a smartphone for now. I'm going to just be leaving it to be text. And then that's it. So if that's the case, I'm just going to post the decode. And I've already extracted. So the next thing is just to one on us handle errors. So this is actually, let me just give you a comment. This is same as one as posting for each variable. So it's same as posting for each variable. Should I say gigi? Maybe just a gigi. Giving it in this way, whereby you say post, maybe it's a first name is equal to one as post, and then you say here first name. You get first name. So you don't need to waste time with all of those stuffs again in your PHP code. I've already extract for you that and should be in position to give you. So the next thing is handle something called error handling. You get? So how do you handle errors in PHP? Remember, I'm going to simply say if what? If empty, maybe a first name, or maybe, sorry, what is that O for? Now I'm changing my windows, so it's giving me a time to know where those stuffs are. I don't know where it is. Just try to look for on screen keyboard here. I changed my window from Windows 10 to Windows 7, so it's giving me a time to Windows 8. I'm trying to look for where most of the things are, because I said I want I need to find where my keyboard is. I need to understand where my keyboard is. Otherwise, it's going to force me to start doing these things, I don't know. My keyboard, I think, is changed, so I need to just find a way how. Okay, so I'm saying all this or empty one as last name, or maybe empty one as country, that's a variable, or empty country, get, or empty, that's going to be phone. So if they're empty, what do you want to do? I would like us to have the following. If they're empty, we need to make section. Now, I may not do this, but it'd be good to have that. So let that section only be given when those things for sure they're empty. You get? So if they're empty, what do you want? When they're empty, I want us to get an error message on our code. Maybe simply say maybe all fields are required. You get? So all fields are required if that's how you want this thing to be given to you. But remember, I'm going to be alerting here something called alert danger, because I expect those fields to be a must of being required. So underneath here is where I'm posting my stuff, and here is where I'm going to be ending my code to show that those fields are empty. Now if you check on my code, I hope there's no error now. I think you have end of file. That was line what? That's on line 83. Line 83, where is you? Okay, let me just check here. I think should be a problem somewhere around here. Here, if empty this first name, or empty last name, or empty this one, or empty that, do that. So here should be having something, and that's called maybe field error. Let me do that to check whether what I've given there's no error, because this is for that, and this, okay, there's a problem somewhere. This, check onto this, we have this, doesn't have this, have that, this, no, that's not correct. So have this, okay, this is that, good. We have, okay, so we have this, which should be there, get, so, and then request should be the one holding there, got it. So definitely if you check again on that file, we should have the stuff as that. This should be giving us error, and this should be giving us to that page in the same page. So just request a page within the same page. You guys want more of this video and more of learning how I did this or how I'm doing this, you should just be ready to come to OSP Pro and learn these stuff with me and train you practically. So here we have the following too. We also want to know, how about if count errors? When they're equal to 0, what do you want? You want to insert, get insert record to MySQL SQL table. If there's nothing like that error, we just insert. But remember, this error itself, we have not handled it. This is it. So we go back underneath where this page is in, underneath there, and a request for that given stuff. So this is how I tend to do most cases, much of my stuff, especially if I'm in OOP. I'll simply say if. Remember, we used the section there, and this section is called field error, like so. I'm just going to come back down here on my page, and I'm just going to say maybe echo for me one as that very stuff, which is that. And I also want to unset it off, because I want when the screen is refreshed, let us given stuff get off my page. Something like that. That's how I always do it. So you find that if I click here, there's no problem. But if I click there, I think you can see it just asks me all fields are required. within the page. So it does not just submit anything to MySQL database. No, I've already handled my stage 1 errors, and the application looks to be real. My friend, this application, you can even use it in your real project, because I'm trying to give something which can solve you a lot of time. So I think you can say that you can even make it whereby it refreshes up without even using JavaScript. By returning it will come in. If this condition is given that way, let it refresh for after every 30 seconds, and then go back to the very page you're in. So this, if I save that, I go back and refresh the page, there's nothing will happen after every 3 seconds. But when I click this button and that error is there, so after 3 seconds it has to refresh the page and go back, waiting for me to enter the right details. So if you shake poop, after 3 seconds it will go back and refresh the page. Why? Is because I've given that refresh for me the page. If long as somebody clicks and this is the problem, now this one field empty, then refresh for 3 seconds. Or you can even give it 5 seconds, but that would be too much. Then here to insert the record, I'm going to just define something called insert. And remember, we are using, I'm using OOP like I said to you guys. So let me just start my OOP here, whereby, remember my database configuration is called this, where we began from, and here I'm going to just paste that. So that we are pasting is going to be pushing us to that. So here at the moment, this is what we are doing. We are inserting to the MySQL database. So I'll simply say insert into our table. Now, what's the name of our table? It's called students. If you guys still remember that. So we're inserting now to the students. I hope you guys enjoyed the first video where I showed you guys this manual when I was inserting it, and you guys could see the impact inside the MySQL database. But this time around is different. It's going to be you yourself doing it, and you define a variable, and then the code tends to go to the MySQL database. You guys, if it is your first time to watch my videos, then I advise you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that each time I post a new video, you'll always be notified. Now look here again, go back, this is what we have, and you want everything to be taken to the MySQL database. To make story short, just click on SQL and then grab all this out, come here, click this here, then select all of them, then just highlight in your PC, hold Ctrl+C to copy. If you just use the PC to say that you copy, there's no option for that. So for if you want to copy, hold Ctrl+A to highlight everything, Ctrl+C to copy, and then you can click here to browse so that you can clear that off, so that you go back to the panel. By that alone, it will give you a chance to copy all the codes that you need to insert to the MySQL database. Remember that some of the things you need to understand here. One is the student ID, which we said is auto-increment. So to handle that, just do that way. Make it null. Then on the other way around also, we have something called first name. Those are just variables because we define them already. First name points to this first name. Last name points for this. Country points to this country. Phone points to this phone. And this is a submit button, which is called send between data. And I've already defined my variables here. I also handled my errors here underneath. And I said if there's no error, do for me this. And now I'm trying to insert the record to the MySQL database. Now, if you find all my things okay, you guys, you can also support me by, asking my bank account so that you can deposit me some money. Since I'm going to deposit and I'm going to post the data to the MySQL database, you can also post for me money, which is guaranteed. Now look here, we already have all these things done. Now remember, this ID, this date registered is not going to work if we leave it like so. Remember, we didn't define it anywhere in our code. So we need to think on where should we put it so that we don't have errors. To handle this, just go underneath here and you say that the date of registration is going to be taken in seconds. This is what I've said to you. So we handle it in seconds. So this is going to be giving us dates in seconds. And that's why if you check in my structure, I gave it as end. So it knows that that will be taking care of seconds. So the next thing to check if inserted, to do this condition is too simple. just give something called if insert. What do you want to do if it is inserted? When it is inserted, I want us also to have something, and that something is called, I want it to echo for us success. So I'm just going to copy that piece of lines of code and try to change all this what I have around it here, and then this is going to be just success. You get, you can call it success record, whatever you want to give there. Now instead of echoing danger, just echo for me success and say maybe student, maybe details added, maybe if it is successful, successfully, or successfully, whatever. I think that's what you guys are looking at. I want you to refresh after 3 seconds, and after 3 seconds, let's direct us straight away to view records, whereby our view records is question mark of view minus students. So this gives us a chance that after showing success for 3 seconds, take us to view students. So underneath that means indirectly I'm done with all codes needed to insert the students to the MySQL database. If there is any of you guys who have not understood this tutorial for sure, I advise them to come to OSPI Digital Solutions. We are located in One Diamond Trust Bank building, 2nd floor. Or if you find it that you are more comfortable with studying online with me, I can enroll you for a new course called Study Python. Study my PHP MySQL Beyond Quarantine. That's the new title for that new course. Study PHP MySQL Beyond Quarantine. So you can always change your life and find the unique, simple ways to handle things. Okay, now look here. If you check back in on our record here, there's no record. If you try to submit the record, it's trying to say undefined variable, there's something there. Undefined variable called line 26. On line 26. Line 26. Line 26. Now it's correct. It's trying to tell us that undefined variable con, which is this connection, line 26, is because we did include that stuff on the top header of our page. So you go underneath out somewhere called header. If you did the same way like I've done, open there and then you just simply say include for me. Include what? Include for me db.php, because we are trying to say this page, which is this one here, is added underneath index by requiring the header. So this header is one which is having the connections, and do it that way. So if you check there, that's it. So it's no longer going to give you that error anymore. That error has been sorted out. So it's telling you that the data has gone this side, but we need to sort some few things, because I was not expecting a record to go underneath here. So I need to check my thing very well, because when you go back here, check there again a little bit. So if you say that's it. So we said here, if empty that or empty that, first handle this. You get? And then we said if count. So this we can give it as else if. Else if count error is equal to 0, then do this. Insert for us this. You get? So you can just give it as else or else if. Else means now count, or we can just give it as else if so, which can also cut the story short, like so, which can also make things move where we want. So if someone clicks there, there's no record, just remain there. So that's just it, because we said else if. So it cannot just go on inserting records into the MySQL anyhow, because there's an else if statement. And underneath our else if statement, if that's what you're using there, I can just put my name as OSP, maybe Pro. I'm going to give country. Actually, I'm a Ugandan, if you guys didn't know. So I'm a Ugandan. So Uganda. So phone number, maybe just any number. That's what we have for now. If you submit there, it should be giving us success. Then it pushes us. I think you can see it has pushed us and I expect that data to go here, and I think you can see. Now it did show us that stuff because I didn't call that thing. I didn't call this success down here. So I'm just going to give down here and I say if that's the condition. If what? If session success underscore record. So just come down here, paste this very code underneath there, and just change this command. Something like that, to have that sorted out that way. So if you check there again now, if you come back here and try to insert some record, blah blah, whatever viewers, if that's the case, we expect that student details added successfully, and then it pushes to this side. And when you click here, it does not just take you anyhow, it has to hand that error and remains there. And if you check on our MySQL database, you have that. So the next stage is now to do and learn how to fetch this record and try to push them underneath here. So how do you do that? We would like, first of all, if there's no record, show us error. So I'm going to first of all start by clearing all what is inside this MySQL database of ours, so that you can have a unique and simplified application that can solve your problem. So come here. Underneath here, we need to tell our code that maybe there's nothing total that exists in this page. Otherwise, if there's a new record, show us that new record. So I'm going to simply say now, this is get record. So this get record is going to be something called a con, and that's the query. We are querying that record from the MySQL database. I'm going to simply say select maybe everything from students. If that's a table, we are going to be getting things from. And you can also give order, because I want the one I've just happened to insert be on the top. That's going to be student underscore ID descending. Means let the last one be on top. This is what I'm saying. Is student underscore ID. I want the last one be on the top. Now, underneath that, just get a query. If what? If get record, okay, number of rows is greater than 0. If the number of rows of those records is greater than 0, what do you want to do? I want to then here display what? Display table. If the number of records is greater than 0, display table. Else, show us something new. Show us that there is no record inserted yet. You get? So this should be so self-explanatory, whereby here you need still a container like this. That record going to be going in. If the number of row blah blah is greater than that, yeah, display that. Else, display this underneath there, because now here we don't need any of this table anymore. We don't need that table anymore. Instead, we may need an H, maybe H4, H5, and simply say no student registered yet, whatever. So you can just come back down here and simply say alert, maybe danger, that's the case. And also say text center. So this pushes our text to the center. So it's only going to be displaying for us the new table there in a condition that something like that. I think you can see it makes more sense, to have something like that in a simple application just like that. So you have those requests given to you in that format, and I think that's the best way. So this else statement talks about with getting the record in a condition that there is no student registered at all. But if there is a student being registered in this application, we expect the if condition to be executed. And this is going to be handled after the table header. We also have table body, and table body has got table row, and that table row has got something called table data, whereby here I'm just going to be using a little bit of PHP 8 and PHP 7. We have someone's first name, and someone's first name can always be taken care of by saying our first name. Sorry, before even going underneath that, in our table, remember we have different tables that we are going to be adding there. So underneath the table data, that's where now I'm going to be opening up my query. We can use the for loop, for while, or we can just use a while loop. Let me try to use this using a while, but I've been making a lot of videos with while. Let me use for each of this. What is that? For each of these get record, let's track that record as a record. Let me get them as a value for that given record. I'm not going to use associate array to pass that variable. So this is it. So get from this record, pass it as a new record, like that. It implies indirectly inside here. I'm also going to close this and open up this. It's okay with you. But if this is your first time in PHP, let me use a while loop. It will work faster for you guys. While loop where I will say row is equal to get record that we have up here, this get record, and then I push it to go to something called a sock. So if you're using this technique, also should work for you accordingly. And I need to close my stuff because I don't always like to make a lot of errors inside my PHP. So I'm going to just move this off. I go underneath there, paste my code. The first one all above, I want to know the number. So you can even do it this way, hash that, to be the number of people that happen to register. Now to do that, come underneath here where this code ends and define a variable x equals to 1, or whatever variable you want to give to be 1. I hope you guys didn't hide yourself from that class called increment and decrement. So here just add something called variable that plus 1. If at all there's a record, we expect that code to execute and show us here at least number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if it is not still okay, just paste that piece of code there. Now underneath here, this was what I have. I also have something called UC words, and then underneath here I can still use extract because I don't need to have row wherever I go. Just extract that given record, extract it off, extract row. So if you extract row, means treat records as variables. Is what I just want you guys to understand there. So here first, I just say first name without even me saying anything else. I just need my space there, and I'm just going to say also UC words, last name. You get? So also come down here, I have did that. This is also going to be for the country, and I expect the first letter of the country to be capital letter. So that's C word, just to capitalize the first letter. This is also country. And if you check here, this is going to be phone, I think so. So that's it, first name, blah blah that. Then the next thing is action, where we expect to have our command center from. So action is definitely going to be just for deleting the record, whereby maybe delete. We shall be having delete command there. So I'm just going to call it del, and then maybe this is going to be edit This may be edit students, and this may be delete students, depending on how well you want it to be like. I think that should be coming underneath there. So let's go back here and try to insert some data, maybe OSP, row, Uganda, numbers that add. Tells us record added successfully, and then you should find the record added here. And this is what you have. Something so simple and unique. We expect when you click there to track that student, edit that given student. But remember, we are still remaining on the same page. The student ID is called student ID still. So that implies indirectly there's no much big task you have to do. It's just a matter of coming in here and you say, I'm opening up there, and I put another equal sign. So I told you just treat that one as if it is a variable. So what you happen to give underneath here is the variable you give underneath there. So it will give us a chance knowing that if you say student ID, for instance, when you click here and say I'm doing that, it does ID number 4, and that's the ID of that given student here. So the system already knows who you want. Now before working on update, the best and quick move, let's work on delete. Now, okay, to move on still on the table, on this format, how things are, let's work on delete. If it's fine with you, but if it's not okay, we can still work on update. Let's just work on update still fine. So we want when updating, we want this record to be there. So what I'm going to do, check here. This command comes from here, whereby this here where this else if request is this. We want that stamp comes from there up to here. So I'm going to give something called else if insert request edit students. So edit students is going to be here. Remember, I'm also going to close here just as normal. I'm also going to open there. So just to make life simple and make things faster, that's it. So this is going to be edit, and this should be delete. Delete, and that's it. So I have there edit, and that's delete. So if I save that command there, that's it. So if you check here, edit, text edit page direct, delete, text delete page direct. So this is what I'm going to do. So this should be equals to, now most cases people just give that if they find it does what they need to do. Most cases people tend to just find, you always see something before like that, you always maybe see something like that. That's how most cases people tend to do it in their PHP code, because here is like I'm passing this, I'm also passing that. You get? So most cases people do it that way and just get a real value from there. Now I'm not going to look into that for now or in this video. I'm just leaving my stuff to be that, whereby when I do that I'm editing number 4. So let's go back here on our code, just look onto where we have been inserting up record. So I'm going to just copy the same piece of code right from the top where you have this, all this stuff right from if you said that code ends somewhere here. So this is the entire div I need this entire div container to work with me. So I'm copying all that and I'm pasting here down where they want me to do edit. So I'm going to just come down here, paste that code just underneath there. Remember here it was closed. I'm opening up there so that my code does not just work that way. Now if you check back again here, if you refresh here, you should have something like that. Now instead of having that way, here it should be update submit data blah blah. So this should be update data. or update record. That's what we have, and still is a submit button. This is the phone. We need to know the value for that phone. And then for me, this is how I do it, just phone. Okay. This is country. So this gives us a chance to know what we're editing and how we're updating the record. So for now, if you shape back again on our code here, this is update record like you've seen. And here has no values yet. I think you can see that's what we have. You can add more records, blah blah, just add kata, maybe Joan, country Uganda, maybe that's it. Let me say country is Kenya. And submit. I think you can see how the record just works as fast as that. And I think you see kata comes number one and application moves in just a simple way like that. Now look, as we're winding up this tutorial, come back here on view records and edit. As you're in edit, we expect as you click number 5 kata to come in here. Now that is because we have something we are lacking, and that something we're lacking is update student. So something you're lacking is should be inside the form. So whereby inside the form we need to fetch the record where that ID is due to that ID. So I don't need to pass all of these things here. All of this I don't need it for now. Let me first remove it off. I've moved all that record off. That may need my errors later on. So that's what we have. But look, if you do that, we expect, if you come back here, we need not handle. That's ID number 5. Click there. It will be tracked inside here. So to handle such kind of cases, I need to go inside here and create something. And that something is going to be if that condition is verified to be true. So if insert, we need to get that student ID at that point of time. So this gets for you, this get method is used to get the record from the database where that ID, where this ID of that given student is equal to get the ID at that point, like so. So if we happen to get the ID of that student whom we have to want to update, so I'll just say maybe update the record is equal to now fetch everything from our table. Okay, select everything from students where our ID or student ID is equal to that very student ID. And having known that, or having done so, we would like now to fetch, to create a loop. Or you can just say row equals to MySQL I_query whatever _per_sock, but I always like to create a loop. I know most cases you guys ask me why you always use a loop even for single variable, for single value from one row. It's good to always have a loop to give you a chance to know how you handle your things. Now that's how I always handle my things, but I always scatter so much on minimizing the error in my projects. Yeah, so this is that, and this is going to be update, then pass the parameters, pass it to fetch ASOC. So So this alone makes my program to know how the thing is going to move like. So if you open up there like so, I come in here, this is equal to where is the program ending. From here, the form ends there. So that's why I paste my code. Remember initially I had really happy to come in here. I said the first name, where value is the first name, last name, value is the last name, country, value, and font. So if I go back here and refresh the page, I would expect the value to be there. Call to a member function, ASOC on that. It's still okay, come back here, just click there. Call to member function, no problem. We check onto this. This is update query that. So row equals to, we check that, and check this. Wow. If you set this, undefined variable update on line what 1, 4, 6 updates. Let me check again here. Row equals to MySQL underscore fetch query. So select everything from students where student underscore ID is equal to that very student. So here, where is that? Your student ID. Then underneath here, edit students. So this is called edit students, which is this very one. So here instead of this student ID is called edit students, which is this. So if you check again, come back, refresh here, we expect the values to be there. Come in here, we need to know that. Check back again. This edit students, so select edit students. Get that. Check that. So if you set get edit students, select everything from students where student is provided equals that ID. So I expect this one to be getting from the record. Don't know why it doesn't want to respond. Updates. So if you check update students equals to that. So let me check here again. If you set get that, just to check again a little bit. If I move this errors off, that's our record. We have that selected from students. If that's the name of the table, students. Select everything from students where student underscore ID equals to that very ID. Then while row equals to MySQL I equals to this, we just check this a bit, equals to MySQL I underscore fetch sock. If you're using that technique, using update students, expect that to be there. Why is it not coming out? I expect the values to be there. I'm not seeing errors yet. We check here again. Updates a sock. Then if that's the case, the form ends there. And then underneath our form we have value. Let me try to troubleshoot in this way. Underscore down. Yeah, it's right. Because if I say var underscore dump and I said dump for me rows for those given values, you'll discover that I have the values there. It knows the values. Good? So I didn't use the other side. I thought I used extract. So it didn't give me what I need, because check there, I was expecting it to give me the values. So that's how you can sort of test your stuff into your PHP. If you don't want to use dump, you can still just use Johnson, echo for this Johnson format of this very given data. We'll have echo for me encode Johnson encode. Which is definitely like pulling for you in format of a Johnson data. So we have already created Johnson data for that given record. Now I'm not after Johnson because I'm not training you guys to the API development, but later on in the meantime to come, we shall definitely be in the chance to have that with us. I'll show you guys how to come up with all that similar stuff. Now let's go back to our theme and again sort that off. Move this off. We already have our data with us, but to pass our stuff that we still remain with a variable to pass there, we need to just pass something called extract the row. So it was correct that I just forgot to extract the row into our PHP code, and after doing that, I think you can see the magic has happened by itself. So in simple terms, if you go back in here on our record, just click here, you should have this down that way. Now still inside here, we can still do other few things around to have some nice work done. You just want to come in here, create a class, and underneath that class you can say maybe btn minus maybe primary, and then btn minus sx. I think that's it. So this one for delete can be danger if it's okay with you guys to have something of that sort. So if you check back in here on our code, you have something of that sort. So you have this sorted for that, and you want it to be updated on click. So do this now in our PHP code. Just here, we already have our record being with us. Underneath here, we already have our record added. Now the next thing you need to add in underneath here is the ID that you need to from that given record that you want to update. So in the simple term, the ID is needed, and that ID is going to be student underscore ID. And the value for that given ID right now, as I'm speaking to you, we need also to know that ID. So that ID should be taken care of by just trying to stream that off too. Remember, this type of technique gives a chance. You don't need to waste time with the PHP code. It knows that that's ID number 4. You can go further and even you try to do some few other mad things, like for instance creating up a class there and say this given stuff is going to be from control, like so that all of them have the same kind of styling. But remember, ID should always be hidden, because you don't need to give it, you don't need anyone to know the ID that you're tracking it that way, if it's okay with you. So have that hidden and you remain here. But in your sense or in your mind, you know very well that ID has already been taken care of by you. So go back here and just try to do that update within just less than 2 minutes, because you already have this defined for you here. Another thing that you need to define here is student underscore ID which we know that is there. The next thing now here is to just handle if insert what. If insert, we are still using post, and what are we going to post this time around is update student update send btn button. If that's the case, I told you don't waste time with all of the other coding or what. Just come in here and extract what? Post, because it is what I would have been doing next there. The next thing is to handle errors if empty. Now since this is an update, I don't have to waste time with that. Just go underneath here and say required. Just get required. Ask them all required. That implies if someone happened to put something that for sure we know it will be there and we expect to be there, just turn to be required. Simple as that. So that you don't waste a lot of time coding, even handle errors, do what? Poop. Just do that. So if someone removes something like that, poop, you see, it really says required. You have to give it as a must. You see? Yeah. So if someone refresh the page, that thing should be coming. But if someone just move accidentally and leave it like that, it should be required. So I've already handled that errors in a simple term. Now the next thing now we have to do is just update now record. Simple as that. So update this record. I'm going to simply say update maybe data, and this is going to be as simple as this. Query blah blah, pass the query there. So this is going to be maybe update students. Now we set the parameters. Set first name equals to that name you want to use, equals to the name you want to use, whereby this time around it's going to be first name, comma. We have also last name being equal to the last name. We also have something called country. Is also equal to the country that person wants to give there. We also have phone being equals to the phone that person wants to add. Now where the ID is that ID, that person you want to update at that given point of time. So if you check back in here on our code, we should have something just as that inside our record. Now we also need to check if everything is successful. If update underscore data is successful, then print for us success. So I need to have this done inside my code. I can just call the same command here, whereby if everything is successful, then do this. So record details updated successfully. Take us to the same page. So to handle that inside here, I just need to do the same scenario or the same thing I did here. So I'm going to copy the same piece of code and I come back down here where I expect to pass the same parameter, and I just move that off because we know this is that very one. So if I refresh my page again, we have that. So if this record is updated, to tell you and it goes back. So if you check back in here and just click here and I say this Kata Jojo, maybe Kenya, oh, you made a mistake, something that this one add another 9. I do that. I think you can see it's going to be taking it to the MySQL, and that's it. Kenyan, that's even the number. Now I think you can see, guys, that's it for now. And even when you check on the MySQL database, that should be updated too. I think you can see. Now the next thing that we need to do now, at the moment, just try to move that off. Record updated successfully and just takes you back there on the same page. Now the next thing we're going to be doing now at this moment is to delete record. So let's do that. in a simple term. To delete this record now, we just need to come back down here on our page. So remember, this is a complete stuff from there to here. So what we need to do now, to do that, we just need to borrow a technique that can give us a chance to delete record. I'm just going to come in here and I simply say maybe record deleted successfully. Because we know very well if this command is picked, so how is it going to be done? So I'm going to just say if insert get what? Get delete students. And this time around is going to be student ID. Get for me delete students. So get that student now. Get the student from MySQL, from the SQL table. Now to do such kind of case, we could just say maybe deal student is equal to one connection query, and simply say now maybe delete from students where the student underscore ID is equal to that student we want to delete at this time around. So we already have our condition underneath here, and we know that if that condition is verified to be true, just come down here on my code and pass the same parameter. You get? So you can pass this very parameter, and this one you turn it to success, but we are going to request it here. Is it okay? So this is going to always be requested whenever somebody has passed on an argument. So this is student details deleted successfully, and after 3 seconds takes us again back to view students. So underneath here, I expect this record to be passed on. So just as this. Inside there is where I expect my record to be deleted. Good. So guys, I think you can see I'm going to leave the source code to you guys, and I'm going to give you everything. So if you check back in here, if I just click on number 2 OSP Pro, undefined variable update data, sorry for that. So it couldn't pick that. Update data. So this is this is going to be delete record, and delete record is what picks that off. You get? So if you check now again, go back here, refresh, that has already gone because it was correct, and that's why it has gone off. But now look here now, if you check again, I think you can see student details deleted successfully, and the application takes you back. Now we have nothing. We can always add. Now this is a completely unique application, you guys. Blah blah country, the number is blah 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 there. Submit, gone ready. Go to view. You can always view that seconds. You can even can update. Hey my friends, what can't you learn now? Whatever of yours is there. So if that's a name, if I'm from China, it would be J, and then Lee. I think I like Lee so much, and Jing whom he. Whatever whom he, whatever name is there is upon you. But my country is China. Don't care about the English. I can also say he who her. So that's it. So whatever number I give there can always work because we are always on the same planet. So that's it, my friends. I hope you guys have liked this video. It was a long video, and I think you guys have really enjoyed because I've shown all the steps, used all the techniques, did all what's needed, and hopefully when you click delete, it should be deleted. So you guys, don't delete this video from your mind because you need to first subscribe to my YouTube channel before you, and 2, subscribe and share it with your friends, comment below, and have this video be part of you. Thanks for watching. Have a blessed day. Thank you.